Principles of conversation. The style of speech will be devoid of rise and fall in pitch. On the contrary, it should be like the divine current which has been flowing evenly since the beginning of creation. I had copied just that, and innumerable are its benefits beyond the possibility of narration. So Lalaji Maharaj is saying that he had copied the style mimicking the flow, the vibrations that emerges from the source in a very evenly fashion. He says there should not be any rise or fall whenever we communicate. You have seen how people at times it starts and suddenly they drop, and it can become quite hilarious at times. There is no joy. If there is joy, there is only negative kind of a joy. Something that arises out of at the cost of somebody else. But here, when we mimic that steady flow, how are we going to even understand the steady flow that emerges from the source? For him, it was easy to access and mimic that. How are we going to mimic that? So, we have to try to touch the bottommost level of our consciousness, the depth available to us at any given moment. For example, whenever we meditate and we notice that depth in meditation, we try to maintain that depth as much as possible. And through this inner depth, when we try to mimic that, when we try to adjust ourselves maintaining that inner depth, the communication will also follow accordingly. Having a certain condition after meditation, this effort of holding on to that and trying to communicate after that also will help us in enlivening that condition. And whenever a moment arises where you have a quiet moment, then you can give life to it by again drowning yourself in the remembrance of Master that will intensify that state. So, through this, mimicking our way with morning meditation's state, we are able to achieve a lot. Not only acquire the condition that was there after meditation, but by recalling it again and again, we are able to enliven it and intensify it as well. Lalaji says, I had copied just that, and innumerable are its benefits beyond the possibility of narration. So best is to practice this. This is a philosophy that when the flow of conversation proceeds in conformity with reality, there develops a state of harmony between the two. Through that harmony, the divine way starts developing automatically. This results in effectiveness as whatever is spoken goes on touching the hearts of others. In other words, a sort of relationship with the current of reality is established. When a relationship is created, effectiveness has to be there. If we copy it, only those words will flow during the conversation that are intended and are right. So, it is quite obvious that when we are touching the innermost plane of our consciousness, awareness, and we converse from that, then the flow will be just as it should be. The words that will come out will be appropriate. You won't have to make any efforts. There will not be any artificiality because you are now being really authentic by deepening your awareness, touching the depth, and then communicating with others. When this inner depth is conveyed through communication, also similar depth, if not the similar length, if not the similar depth, but it will somehow echo in someone's heart and appeal to them what we are saying. So, the effectiveness.